Okay, so data, very boring, very expensive, and everything that we need to manage agents in this moment. It is, the trend in this moment is the agent, and the next trend going to be the robots. What is the main issue with robots? Okay, robots have a lot of problems still, guys. So you're going to see something online, you're going to see some video, we go in some presentation, you're going to see robots perform operations that are pre-programmed. So there is no robots at the market in this moment that can do all by themselves. So, okay, we're going to arrive there. That is the goal. The goal is to have autonomous entities. We're going to start with the agent at a point. That is not, we're not there yet. What is the two biggest problems that my company had when we start to explore the robotics side? The first company is the data fragmentation. Data fragmentation is, there is a lot of providers. They provide very low quality data also because there is no standardization way to collect it, and you cannot understand the quality of it until you do the R&D on it. So many companies consume a lot of resources and money to filter the data that they already buy from somebody. So there is a big expense over there. Second of the many problems is the fact that from the simulator to the real, we have a big gap, 50%. So it means that today we are running a long simulation on SIM from NVIDIA, for example, or Agibot, and in the simulator we have great results. The robot even makes stairs, do a lot of things, and then when we load the model, we lose 50% of it. And this is one of the biggest law in the robotics side now. We're going to fix this? Yes. We want to fix this in two phases. First, we want to become a data catalog. We don't want to do any investment in pipeline. There's already a lot of people already doing this. What is the problem of this? The return can be good in the next 12 months, and then the verticalization of data gonna remove them from the market. So we don't want to have this disadvantage. We want to have a big catalog of very good data. And we want to have a big catalog of very good data because we can do the R&D for the customer. So the customer in this moment buy the data for $500,000 and spend another $1.5 million to prepare the data to have the training done. We can remove that $500,000 because it's across all our customers, okay? And we can reduce the cost to the customer of the data and the R&D. There's another upside. When you stop to do R&D, this is from my past as a CEO of company that do service, when you stop to do something, you forget how to do something, or you just remove the department, and you not belong. You're gonna be much more attached to your service provider, in this case, us. There's another thing very important on this, is that data is sensitive. A lot of government block it, a lot of government create a nightmare to comply to the rules. Instead, with the formula of reselling or licensing, we're not going to belong to any of this because we don't actually own any data. We don't store any data. We're going to use the API from the data provider that's going to become our partner to provide this data to the final customer. So this way, I avoid completely the regulation. I am untouchable, okay? The formula work. Imagine to have a Netflix, and in this Netflix there is data for your robots or agents, okay? And then you can use it and pay for it. That's it. You don't have any regulation, any paperwork to do for that, because you buy something from a place where there is the regulation is already solved, and you use it. And with our help in the filtering, we're going to remove the need of this R&D part that is really expensive, guys. Sometimes we trash the data. So this project come out from the test. We are, and my company, this iFlow Lab, and is entering robotics. And when we arrived on the first step, there was the data. It was impossible to work because mapping, terrible. It's not that the project create bad data, it's that we have no standards. So the job to fix the mapping for a supermarket, for example, is bigger than go to the supermarket with a LiDAR and map by yourself. So this is the difference, okay? So we can solve this with first part, aggregate and sell. So we want to become profitable from the beginning. We go to the customer, we ask them what they want, and then we find the data for them, and we make a markup with this. So this is something that can even autonomously finance the second phase. In the second phase, we're going to start our own pipelines, not for the data, but for the model. The simulator in this moment is very bad. So if in this moment we start with data and we put in the simulator, the result is not going to be much more than that 40%. It's also because the technology is not there yet. We're going to go there. In the second phase, probably 2027, we're going to start to do our pipelines for training models. My idea was not to have just models, is to have real programs. So if you buy a robot tomorrow morning, $50,000, you have to use it with a controller. There's no way that the robot is going to do something with you. Or you can load a model. The model is going to help the robot walk, maybe do the stair. But it's not going to iron your shirt. It's not going to be the butler in the house. He's going to do chores. He's going to do nothing. You have to teach him, okay? What we want to do, since we're going to have access to very good data because we worked for this, we want to use this data to train the models and create real program that going to help us move to the next phase. There is also a third source, that is the token. The token, we want to launch it in the second phase. We saw from the beginning, we don't want to be data creator, we don't want to have our own pipelines, we don't want to do this. But between now and 2027, the market is going to be ready for something like this. So we're going to use the tokenization to incentivize creator that can create the data for us. And we're going to use a formula that is governed proof, okay, especially for the POV data. Example, in Hong Kong, we cannot do this, for example, in this moment. POV data is necessary, annotation is necessary, ambient is necessary. So what's happening, but why the robot is not working? Because you have one or two sources of the data. It doesn't have the ambient, where the action took place. It doesn't have a lot of stuff. That is what we want to build in the phase 2, okay? With the token, we can become also data creators from somehow. We're going to have more restriction because we're going to have to somehow collect this data and put it somewhere, or we can use our partner of phase 1 to store that data because maybe they are already compliant and then resell it at a bigger price. And that is going to be not easy because nothing, guys, in business is easy. But it's going to help us become profitable from the beginning. So one thing is you start a project and then you're not profitable for 2 years and you do nothing. There's no income. We want to do it differently. We don't want to risk at the beginning. 90% of the pipeline I saw in the last 6 months is going to be probably obsolete in the next 12. So that's a risk too big, too much money to put inside the box and risk it. And the controlled expansion in phase 2 come from a know-how that we collect on phase 1. So this is even zero capital situation. So in the first one, is only BD. There's no need to create anything. The only thing we have to create is an API to resell the data of the partner. And this probably taking us 24 hours, 48 hours to build something like that. So this compliance global is very easy. We don't need it. Somebody else do this for us. So I don't risk my business and the money of my investor on compliance. I let the data provider do this. If it's very difficult, we either find more provider or we find a formula in a country where there is no regulation, for example, and the entity can operate over there. Two presence. Asia is already happening, so the company is in Hong Kong. We plan a US presence. We plan a US presence because in US there's a lot of concentration of capitals that want to spend in robotics, but the robot guys are done in Shenzhen. So we are literally in front of it. In this slide is not present, but we plan to open also in Shenzhen. So I'm going to be near the robot every day. I'm going to have to play with robot every day. It's very much more easy to go to a partner and test than have a studio full of robots. The win is based on the no risk. So, okay, Scale AI is a very bad example. I put it in the slide, but if you know Scale AI and the feedback on the data after they sold to Meta, data was very bad. A lot of synthetic stuff, no good, okay? But they are not robotic, so they're not part of this thing. We part with robotic native from day one. So we come from AI and Gen AI in the other company, the mother company, and we move to robotic. That is a little bit more difficult. It's not impossible. We have no assets. We don't invest in GPU at the beginning, so we don't have a very big burn rate. Basically, I did a calculation 2 days ago. A part of the business development, we have 0 burn rate. So there's no money spent until we move to phase 2, okay? There's only robotic data focus. We don't care about the rest. There's too much stuff, LLM, it's too crowded. And a lot of other elements in data that are not robotic, for example, for healthcare, are even more regulated. So that's too hard, okay? So we don't want to put hard, difficult things over a sandwich that is really much more difficult than the Gen AI. And we want to work in a marketplace model. So I want you to understand this. If you're a data provider, you can come to me. I'm going to check your data, I'm going to filter your data, and I'm going to put in my catalog the data for you. If you're a robot builder, and you train a model, and your model works, you can put the model in my marketplace. Developers do this every day. There is a big cost to the end user. In this case, it's going to be a B2B situation. If a factory wants to buy 200 robots, the cost of installment is very big because nothing is standardized. This probably can solve also that problem. So we have 2 phases. One phase is a data licensing, data reselling. We not collect data, we only collect a big catalog of it. So Netflix, the same thing. We're going to have a minimum cost of R&D, that is the data filtering, but is something that we can afford without troubles, okay? In the phase 2, models and programs. Programs in this moment don't exist. So it's an idea I had before, at the beginning of the year, because even if we just train models,
Igor, 1 minute, one
okay?
minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we just train models, we not going to have a specific thing, okay? So that's important to understand. The team, the CEO is a technical guy, okay? The CFO is also a technical guy. Okay? We have already secured 2 very good BD, one in Web 2, one in Web 3. We need more. And the idea to do reverse BD, so go to the customer first and then to find the data, is probably going to cut us 60%, 70% of the time. The ask. So we are raising seed 2 million. The 2 million going to be spent exactly like I told you before. There is a cost for robotic lab and R&D that is going to be around $500,000. And that is necessary because at the beginning it's going to be very small because we filter the data. And then after we're going to have to do R&D to create this model and these programs.
Igor.
And the rest is going to be spent with a very small amount on infra, the rest all in team.
Thank you so much, Igor, for this really fascinating deep dive
Any question?
into robotics. Yes, we're going to take questions now from the room.
Any questions?
Please identify yourself before the question.
Hi, I'm Sakamoto from Crypto Times from Japan. So you said you're going to use token to incentivize like the data contributor, right? So how do you solve like the significant like
One of our partners, the first partner we're going to have for data, also have hardware. They have glasses,
Yeah.
they have exoskeleton.
But the question is, like, if the token price go down, there gonna be less incentive for the token.
Yes,
data
that is
provider,
why the
right?
token is a part of the project, is not the project. The project is the data for robots. The token come in place because we want to incentivize this. We can do it anyway, using the funding. But it's going to be much better to create a community with the token that actively collect data than go one by one. We already have the one by one person. We have around 1,000 person now are collecting data for my partner. Is not a community situation. It's not something viable. Okay. Instead, a community thrive behind the token, but we use the token to pay them for what they do. It can be that the token is pegged to a stable coin even. But the point is to have a tokenization that let us access the data when we're going to be ready for. In the phase one, we don't want to do this. We don't want to have this work. In the phase two, if I want to become a data producer, I can do it. I can even do it using the channel of my partner directly, because I can tokenize over his community and have these people collecting data for me. Every person that comes inside this circle costs me, I don't know how much token, but give me back $5,000 per year. So if a creator creates POV data for me, the creator value for me is $5,000. Even if I give him the glasses that cost $30 to build in China, then I'm pretty big also on the game. The tokenization is necessary for the community side, because without a community behind the project, it's going to be much difficult to have fresh data that you don't get from the providers.